I need to be able to talk to you and be honest with you without you being upset with me about what I was honest about.
So I think that's very true. I think in our relationships, we need to be able to have a space in our relationship where we can have honest conversations. Maybe not say it right. The goal is to say it right, but maybe not say it right. But still not have to have fire between us because of that.
I want to be able to share my heart with you, but honestly, sharing my heart with you.
So anytime you say but, everything that goes before the but is not true and not true enough. And so if you say I want to share my heart with you, you have to leave it at that. You can't put a but in there and then go on because it just erases the I want to share my heart with you.
I get in trouble when I share with you how I feel because you feel that when I share how I feel, you feel that it's an attack against you.
Let's
So, um, so it is. I think that does make having a conversation very difficult when those scenarios are going on. Like when somebody's feeling some kind of way about it, when they feel attacked, all of those things are true. We'll go into some ways to not do that or to get that to be different in a second.
sit 1 second. We're gonna sit in that.
It's not an attack against you.
I know.
Because if we're going to be honest, we in this marriage series and we still hadn't had a real conversation. And I've been wanting one. But the truth of the matter is I'm afraid because you've taught me not to be honest with you about how I feel.
How did I teach you that?
Because you taught me that because when I was honest with you, you made me pay for being honest with you. You got mad at me and had an attitude because you didn't understand how I felt the way that I felt about a situation.
So this is where it starts going south. So a couple of things. One, it's not useful for either partner to shut the other person out or to project yourself over that scenario. That gets difficult because when we're having an argument, yeah, you want to be heard. The hard thing is a lot of times the other person may not, reciprocate that. All right, but here's the mindset that matters more than anything. Like all these approaches, I think they're just the results of the mindset. So the mindset that somebody else can make you do less than or be less than in a situation is awful. It's awfully not useful. So the important piece here is you can't have a mindset that somebody's behavior makes you do less than behaviors. You can't have that mindset. You have to understand that somebody is going to do things and things will happen outside of us. But the requirement stays the same. The requirement is still to be the highest version of ourselves as possible. Right. And if we can't pursue that, I can't put that on somebody else. Imagine, like, if that's my way of being in life, how many things are going to stop me? So, is it true that maybe this person makes it hard because I love this person, they're closer to my heart? It means friction for me. I have to fight through more. Yeah, all that's true. But it cannot be my partner's responsibility to make me more than, from my perspective. Like, I think ultimately in relationships, it's super useful when we help each other to do that. But I can't say to my wife is I'm choosing to be less than because you were less than. That's basically what's being said. How do we get anywhere in a relationship if that's the case? And if you wonder why you're arguing or why you're having a challenge in a relationship, it's that pointing fingers that keeps things rolling in that same direction. I can't get better because you're not doing better. Well, that's what the next person is going to say. Well, I can't get better because you're not doing better. At what point in time do you raise your requirement of being above what you're seeing outside of you? And that's your challenge.
I only said I feel that you're not submissive, baby. And you got mad because I feel that you're not submissive. I feel like, well, baby, I feel like we're not having enough sex. And you got upset with me because of how I feel. Because I was honest with you. So you've taught me not to share my true feelings with you.
So you taught me not to share my true feelings with you. There's so much wrong with that idea. It does happen in life that through traumatic situations, we start learning another thing, but that doesn't create an obligation of being, right? I don't have to become what it is that somebody else has taught me to be. I don't have to be that, right? We've seen scenarios where people are thrown in prison and they're not prisoners, right? So the idea that somebody teaches you something is hurtful to your relationship, right? And I'm not okaying the idea that says you respond in a way that's not effective. I'm not okaying that. What I'm saying is that now that that scenario has happened, the next best action is not to blame and insult or reduce your partner. Instead, it's to be able to create something else. So even when your partner doesn't have the knowledge or the ability to be able to respond to hardships or hard scenarios, even when that's the case, your obligation to create that in your relationship still stands. And that's our challenge.
Because whenever I do that, you shut down, you retreat, you take flight, you freeze, you don't talk to me. And so rather than
So that's a useful thing as a partner. And this is more of a how-to. As a partner, if you notice that your spouse is doing those things, shut down, you run, you freeze, those are all flight or fight. What does that tell you? That tells you that that person doesn't feel secure. So should you get upset at that? Well, we might, because we have our own things to battle. But the most useful things is to wrap your arms around that person, right? So find a way to get back to committing to love and creating security on that in those situations, more than you double down on, like, I'm trying to say something and express something. Your feelings may scare somebody. Your feelings of and needs that you're expressing, your wants, your accusations, maybe even that you're expressing, may make somebody afraid and insecure. And so if that's the case, your opportunity is to be able to change that by wrapping your arms around them. And that could be a physical wrapping our arms around, emotional or spiritual wrapping arms around.
having that smoke, I'll just suppress it and deal with it.
So the most disturbing thing to me is now the wife gets to be, in this case, it's the wife. Now the wife gets to be the reason that things aren't going well, right? And in relationships, we cannot make each other the reason that things are not going well. We need to be able to make each other the reason things are going right. So what is the opportunity in this scenario? Well, in this scenario, it's simple. Like, hey, I appreciate all the opportunity for me to be able to elevate as a man, for me to be able to elevate as a partner in this relationship, for me to be able to elevate our relationship and look at those things. I'm going to embrace this challenge. And it is a challenge for me, but I'm going to embrace it, right? So if you can switch the focus over, then now your partner doesn't have to keep their forearms up and try to protect themselves from being less than or messing up, right? And so if there is an education needed, because remember at the beginning of this video, the video concept was when you don't have the wisdom to handle real conversations, right? Does somebody get wisdom while you're throwing punches at them? They don't get wisdom while you're throwing verbal or physical punches at them. They get wisdom when they're loved. They get wisdom when they're searching. When they get wisdom whenever they're searching and they're loved at the same time. Okay. Unfortunately, this video is out there. Unfortunately, it got a lot of views and a lot of likes. And unfortunately, you got a crowd in the background cheering with this scenario. And what I would tell you, hopefully that was a dramatization of how a conversation should not happen, instead of a demonstration of the reason that a person should respond a different way to each other. All right, you guys, I hope this was helpful. We'll talk to you soon.